Hey guys, so I'm back with another Las Vegas conspiracy theory debunking video, and first I want to thank everybody that watched my first video. I thought the video was really successful and I really appreciate all of the comments, even those of you that made really dumb comments like, fuck you, globalist shill, etc, etc. I kind of enjoy watching the cognitive dissonance play out when people don't really have any argument against you, but they don't like what you're saying, so they just attack you with ad hominem attacks. Anyways, keep it up. It's great. So I wasn't planning on making another video about this, but another story has been coming out that it kind of comes along in my specialty. And not only that, but I found some information about the people that are actually sharing this particular story that I think people should know. So let's get into it. So the article that I'm talking about is this insider trading and financial anomalies surrounding the Las Vegas attack on Zero Hedge. Now, I've always kind of considered Zero Hedge to be a kind of a little, dubious, just because they're always saying, oh, the market's going to crash, everything's going to fall apart. And of course, if you've listened to them for the past 8 years, you basically lost money. But that's, besides the point. A lot of the time they would post articles that were written by other people, and that's the case here. So in this case, this is written by this guy named Kip Harriage of VRA Letter, but we'll get to that later. So what exactly is he saying? Well, here's the gist, and I'll just quote some short excerpts of the article to get you an idea of what he's saying for those that haven't read it. Over the course of my 32 years in the investment industry, I have constructed a proprietary investing model that I refer to as the VRA trading and investing system. In short, its design is to track money flows in the stock market and detect sector and stock analysis movements that then alert me as to when/where money is flowing in the markets. All right, so first of all, bullshit. I mean, maybe he does have a proprietary system, but obviously he's probably trying to sell it at his website. But I mean, come on, guys, it's not hard to look at a heat map or construct a list of stocks that are significant in different sectors and then track the inflows and outflows of these things on a stock chart. It's not hard. And in fact, if you're going to trade in stocks, I suggest you do it, because that's the way that the market does, is the sectors take different, they take turns leading the market. 1 week it will be technology, and the next week it will be financials, and the next week it will be healthcare. This is how the market works. Anyways, and it goes on, the market is referred to as a discounting mechanism, and as such, it often predicts future events. It certainly did so in the case of the election and the share price of AOBC, which is American Outdoor Brands. And here he has a stock chart where we can see that going as the probability of Donald Trump in being elected increased, the share price went down, predicting that Donald Trump would win. Now, this is true. The market can do this. A really good example is bonds. So if you go to the CME website, they actually have a tool where they use the current options and how many people are buying calls and puts at which strike prices and which expirations and so forth to predict the probability that the Federal Reserve is going to hike rates at the next meeting. Very important tool. I suggest you take a look at it. So yes, we can use markets to predict the probability of future events happening. But here's the key. The market has to actually know what the probability of that thing happening is. So it can't price in something that nobody in the market actually knows about. So here in this case, he's basically arguing that a small number of global elites in the global cabal, Goldman Sachs or whoever it is that have created this false flag operation, have basically been making moves in the market in anticipation of this event. It's total bullshit, guys. A group of investors that small do not have the ability to move price like that. Okay? Here's how market works. There's buyers and sellers. When buyers and sellers agree on a price, they make a transaction, right? You can't have more buyers than sellers or vice versa, because how are you going to buy a stock if nobody's selling it? That doesn't make sense. There's always, for every transaction, there's a buyer and a seller. But what happens is, if there's a lot of people that want to buy, then they'll buy all of the prices available at the current price. And then when all of the shares offered there are taken, they'll start buying the ones at the next price and the next price and the next price and so on, so up. And that can cause chain reactions in the market where people that were short go, oh crap, I must be wrong. I've hit my stop limit. And so they buy to get out. And that makes the price move up even more, and so on and so forth, right? You can see this is what I do in my videos that I post every day. Is I'm watching the order flow. I'm watching the market buy and sell orders and how many shares are basically being offered at each price. Well, contracts in this case, because I trade futures, but and based on what I see, I'm able to make short-term predictions about which direction price will go. Okay, so you just, a small number of people cannot move the market. You can't price in something that the market doesn't know about. If everybody in the market knew that there was going to be an attack in Las Vegas, or that it was a possibility of it happening, and that as we got closer to the event, we got more and more and more information until we basically knew everything there was to know before it happened, and the thing happened, then that would make sense. But what's on this Zero Hedge article here? I mean, I personally, I feel like this is, it's not just dishonest, but it's irresponsible, because it's spreading false information about the market that harms you, people that are buying and selling stocks that might make the wrong decision based off of bad information about how markets work. So I think it's really important to correct that. Now, there is one thing further down in the story. They talk about probably the most credible thing that they mention here is, in MGM, there were heavy levels of insider selling. Well, kind of. So there's actually a much better explanation as to why the market is making these particular moves, rather than that they knew that the Las Vegas attack was going to happen. First, one thing I'll point out here is that they're showing, here are the transactions around September 11th. Well, they didn't really go back far enough. So if you go back here at the beginning of August, you can see there was a bunch of sell orders here. Look, the guy sold 1,000, Here's they're making option exercises all over the place, a bunch of selling. Why? So why are insiders selling MGM? Well, here's my chart that I kind of use on a day-to-day basis. And what I do here is whenever I see something happen in the bond market where, intraday there's some sort of significant change in the market, I will put a little marker here. So you can see here was when the US election happened. Here's when the Federal Reserve first hiked rates. Here's when, the obstruction of justice story came out. So you can kind of see all of these things kind of represent inflection points or, big days in the market. Here, here when the Comey story happened, bonds went up big, right? I hope you can see that. So down here at the bottom, here's some other things that I have. Here's the S&P 500. Here's Goldman Sachs. So I have a small position in banks on expectation that the rate curve changes being created by the Federal Reserve reducing its balance sheet is going to cause banks to be more profitable. So I do have a small position in banks, just in full disclosure. Okay. I'm not making any money off of these videos or anything like that. I just want information to get out there, right? But in disclosure, I do have a position in banks. Anyways, here's oil. But anyways, this bottom one is MGM stock. And if you look at the bottom chart and compare it to the top chart, which is the 30-year bond, you can see there's actually a little bit of a correlation. So here, when the ECB made their hawkish comments way back in June, you can see that MGM started to tank after that. And here again, when, Donald Trump agreed to the debt ceiling increase, we again started to go down in bonds and we started to go down in MGM. It's that simple, guys. The MGM is affected by borrowing rates, essentially. And, you know, the lower the rates are, the better MGM does. Rates are going to be rising. And so MGM isn't going to make as much money. And of course, people in the market knew this. So we'll point out, let's zoom in on this area here. So this was the day that Donald Trump and the Democrats agreed to a debt ceiling increase, right? So when this happened, this increased the chances of Donald Trump's tax reform going through. And therefore, the market believes now that this is going to be a boost to stocks. And this also means that the Federal Reserve is going to have to raise rates. And as we went further along, we actually found out that, you know, we started to see some signs of inflation through here. And then here, you know, the last meeting, they basically said, yeah, we're probably going to raise rates in December and we're reducing the balance sheet. That's what's moving the market. So, you know, all of these transactions back in late August, September, these are just the guys at MGM. They're watching the rates and they know what's happening and they know that the company's not going to be as profitable anymore. So they're taking a little bit of profit off. You can see here, this was the one that was made and that was like a Thursday. And then September 11th was a Monday. And that was basically a big inflection point. Was Monday came out, everybody opened up new positions, and the new positions were all basically, you know, short bonds. Okay. So again, I kind of feel like this story being posted by Zero Hedge is a little irresponsible. And the thing that makes me mad about it is that they know better, right? Zero Hedge is not idiots. Granted, most of what they post is just to generate traffic. Make no mistake about it, guys. Zero Hedge is not about educating you or helping you out. They're there for hits, okay? And surely they know that the market doesn't work in the way that this article claims, but they're posting it for hits. But not only that, but they should do some research on who's posting this. So this guy, sorry, what was his name? Kip Herriage. Kip Herriage has actually been involved with this other program called this organization called the World. What is it called? Wealth Masters International, WMI, which is basically a multi-level marketing scheme that basically says we're going to teach you how to become rich, but you know, they don't really tell you that it's just a multi-level marketing scam and it's super expensive. So once you've already given them like $4,000 and you can't get it back anymore, you know, usually when people quit. And in fact, they were investigated by the Securities and Exchange Commission when they said that they were thinking about going public, and basically this completely destroyed the company and they're basically kaput now. So I don't actually know what the result of the SEC investigation is, but you know, if you come on here to you know, all of these websites that kind of do reviews of these sorts of organizations, you can see a number of, you know, like you just search for, you know, Wealth Masters International Scam, right? And you find all of these things from the Better Business Bureau and Ripoff Report, basically people complaining that this guy is a scam artist, right? So now he has some new website and he's offering some new thing and he's passing around this completely bullshit fake story to get more traffic to his website. So you guys are basically being scammed by people that know better, people that know that this is total bullshit. I mean, let's go back to the article. You know, he says right here, look at the italic text. With this report, I make no claim to specific knowledge or any wrongdoing or improprieties. Blah. improprieties. Instead, this report includes trading patterns, news releases, and/or public record SEC filings. So he's basically saying that the whole thing is bullshit, but I'm posting it anyways because I know that you conspiracy theorists are gonna love it. Sorry guys, but this story is bullshit. And that's all I have to say.